Hey, Harvest family, Pastor Mark here. I wanted to take the next few moments and talk to you about our reentry plan as a church. In the upcoming weeks, you're going to hear a lot about how our nation will be reopening to normal, about how churches are beginning to reassemble in person for church. And I want you to know the path that we are considering here at Harvest to begin worshiping together as we once did. Now, we'd love to pick up right where we left off, but we understand that coming back together is going to be a somewhat gradual process. So here are just a few things that we're considering as a ministry. First of all, we understand there are going to be a lot of different opinions in our church and in our community concerning how and when we should get back together. And this is completely understandable. This is okay. We're allowed to disagree in some of this stuff. And I want you to know that we don't have to have a uniformity of thought, to have unity as a church. But I want you to know this. We're going to do our best to first and foremost follow the leadership of the Holy Spirit of God. But then we're strongly going to consider the advice of medical experts. We're going to consider recommendations from the government. And we'll even take a look at what other churches that are our size are doing. Another consideration is that we need to be prepared when we come back together. And we want you to know that before we begin meeting together in person again, we will have properly sanitized all of our facilities. We will have created action plans for meeting together, and those plans will fall in alignment with cleanliness and with CDC guidelines that will make everything as sanitary and safe as possible. Also, I want you to know that if you fall in a high-risk category, we do not want you to feel like you need to participate in anything that you think may put you in jeopardy. The last thing we want is for you to feel pressure to do that. So we're going to be continuing all of our online ministries. So please continue to observe those at home and from a safe distance if you feel led to do so. Lastly, I want us to understand that all of these plans are subject to change due to new information that we receive or different guidance from the Holy Spirit. And we're going to do our best to communicate any changes that may come as thoroughly as possible. Now, what I want to do right now is I want to dig into our action plan and just consider what it'll be. And we're thinking of this as a 3-step process. Step number 1 is 25 people meeting together in person. Step 2 would be 200 or maybe even 250 people meeting together. And then step 3 would actually be back to normal. So first of all, let's talk about step 1. The number to remember here is 25. We know that this step will fall in line with what Pennsylvania is calling the yellow phase, and this will allow us to meet together again in groups of up to 25 people. Our plan for this step is to keep everything exactly as it is right now, with 2 exceptions. The first exception is that many of our adult groups, not all, but many of them, will begin to meet in person. Each group is going to work out the logistics inside of their group for what they think is best. Some will continue to meet digitally. Some will begin to meet here on our church campus, and some will even begin to meet maybe in someone's home. But the adult groups will have the opportunity to meet in person in groups of up to 25 people. Also, the second thing that will be different than what we're doing right now is that we will begin to stream our Sunday service at the normal times of 9 and 10:30, but we're also going to stream the service at 2 additional times. We're going to start streaming at 4 p.m. and at 6 p.m. And during each of these 4 time slots, we will offer what we are calling watch parties. Now, a watch party is 10 to 25 people who call Harvest their church home, getting together at a host house with the intention of watching our Sunday service together and hanging out for a little bit. So it will allow you to enjoy the Sunday service, and it will also allow you to hang out or eat some food or pray or even make some new friendships if you want. So if you would like to host a watch party, or if you would like to attend a watch party, I want you to head on over to our website, harvestbaptist.info, and you can sign up for either of those. Hey, I'd be willing to host, or hey, I'm not going to host, but I'd like to go to one. I'd like to do church with some people in person. So let me recap step 1. Step 1 is our upcoming step. and everything will continue as it is today. We will stream our Sunday service. Our Wednesday Bible study will be streamed. Our Kids City in Awana and student ministries will continue to be digital. We'll put out daily blogs and emails. I could go on and on. It'll be the same, but our groups will have the option of meeting in person, and we'll begin to offer Sunday watch parties at church members' homes if you would like to assemble together with 10 to 25 fellow believers from Harvest. We're really excited about that. We're just looking forward to getting together, even if it is in a smaller gathering of 25 people instead of 200 people or 400 people or 500 people. We're just excited to be together with some people and to have some fun and to rub shoulders. And now step number two. Step number two, the number to remember is 200. Once we get to where 200 or more people can safely assemble together each Sunday, we will begin to offer somewhere between 3 or 4 church services here on campus that will be identical in format and in nature. So these services will have a capped capacity of, say, 200 or 250, or maybe even it'll be 300. And the entire family will be together in the auditorium, as we're likely not going to have a children's ministry or a nursery open during that step. We'll spread out maybe 200 or 250 chairs in our 500-seat auditorium, and we'll have a 45 to 50-minute church service in person. Once again, we'll continue to stream that if you can't make it in person, and there's not going to be kids ministry on campus. However, we'll continue to do our kids ministries online. We'll continue to live stream our Wednesday service. But our adult groups and even our youth group would be able at that point to fully function in person. And even a group like Ironman with 40 or 50 people could get together in person. Step 3 is an easy one to explain because that's just kind of back to normal. That's when we can return to the way things were and we can put 400 or 500 people in the auditorium for a service at one time. So again, all of these things are subject to change, but we, in the midst of the state beginning to open up, we want you to be able to grab onto the vision for our church so that you can be in prayer and that you can look forward to participating and starting to get back together with fellow church members and fellow believers. We believe that this season is uniquely and providentially orchestrated by God. And if this is happening to us, God has a purpose in this. And while I'm a little bummed out that this isn't completely behind us yet, and we still have weeks ahead of us before we get, back to normal, we're going to continue to have opportunities to do some creative things that we'll look back on years from now with fond memories because we're able to do some things we otherwise would not be able to. So let's be encouraging to each other during this process. Let's be patient with each other during this process. And most of all, let's just be praying for wisdom on how God would have us come back together in unity, but also in safety. I want to thank you so much for giving me just a few minutes and for listening in. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to call into the church office. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to help. We'd be happy to help in any way we can. Church, I love you. I miss you. And we're expecting that here in the next few weeks, we're going to start to be able to begin to be back together. And I can't wait for that time. Love you, church.